Hello friends, thanks for watching the Wikipedia World videos. In this video, we will start with a new chapter. The name of the chapter is Reproduction. Okay, now what is reproduction? Reproduction is a process by which living organisms produce new individuals of the same species. Reproduction is necessary for the survival and increase in the population of a species. If organisms do not reproduce, their species will extinct. So, in this case, there is one question. The question is, does organism create carbon copies of themselves? Then the answer for that is the DNA, means the deoxyribonucleic acid molecules in the chromosomes in the nucleus, is responsible for the transfer of characters from parents to the offsprings. During reproduction, the reproductive cell produces two copies of DNA which separates into two cells. So, the DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. Okay? With this thing, you should be very clear, students. The DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. So, the new individual have slight variation from their parents. So, this is the reason why parents are different, slightly different from their offsprings. This is the basic of evolution of new species. Now, the importance of variation. DNA copying during reproduction is important for maintaining the body design of different organisms to survive in the existing environment. But the environment is constantly changing due to change in temperature, climate. Now friends, we will discuss about types of reproduction. Now, there are two types of reproduction. The first one, asexual type, and the second one is the sexual type. Now, in asexual types, the first reproduction is fission. Now, what is fission? Fission is the method by which a unicellular organism divides and forms two or more individuals. Fission is of two types. There are binary fission and multiple fission. Now, in binary fission, in this method, one organism divides and forms two individuals. Example, amoeba and paramecium, and etc. Now, in multiple fission, in this method, one organism divides into many daughter cells. Example, plasmodium. Now see, here in the diagram, you can see that this is the amoeba, and here the nucleus get divided. The groove is formed in the nucleus, and then slowly it gets divided. Then a groove is formed in the membrane, and then it is divided into two daughter cells. Here you can see two daughter cells. Okay, now in this way, binary fission takes place. Now, the second type of asexual reproduction is budding. In this method, a bud-like projection, you can see here, this type. This is a hydra, and this is a bird-like projection is formed on the body of the organism. Then the bird develops. You can see here this portion. The bird develops into a new individual. Then it separates from the parent and forms an individual. You can see here, it get detached from the parent, and now it forms an independent body. Okay, example: Hydra, yeast, etc. Here also you can see this is the example of yeast. And now the other form of asexual reproduction is regeneration. In this method, a part of body, if the organism, if cut or broken, can develop into new individual. Examples: Hydra, planaria, etc. Here you can see the part of the body. If it is cut, you can see these three all parts can be developed into a new individual. Here you can see here. Now, fragmentation. In this method, the body of a simple multicellular organism breaks up into smaller pieces on maturation, and each fragment develops into new individual. And for that, the example is Spirogyra. In the diagram, you can see here, this is the spiral chloroplast in Spirogyra, and then here the septa is being formed, and this one is the nucleus, and then it gets divided into two. Now, spore formation. In this method, structure called sporangia produce tiny cells called spores. When spores come in contact with a moist surface, it develops into new individual. Example: Rhizopus, that is bread mold, mucor, and penicillium, etc. Okay, now you can see here in this diagram. This is the sporangium, and these are the spores, and this is the germinating spore, and this one here, it's the stolon, and this is rhizopod. Okay. Now, vegetative propagation. In this method, new plants are produced from vegetative parts of the plant like root, stem, or leaf. Example: from root, dahlia; sweet potato; from stem, potato and ginger; now from leaf, bryophyllum and begonia. Okay, plants produced by vegetative propagation produce flower and fruit earlier than those produced from seeds. It also helps in propagation of plants which do not produce seeds like rose, jasmine, banana, etc. Vegetative propagation can be done artificially by cutting, layering, or grafting, etc. See, this is the example of bryophyllum, this one here, and this is the example of begonia. Now friends, we will discuss about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now we will discuss here the parts of the flower. So here you can see that this one is the pistil, and here it's the stamen, anther, and filament. Now, the stamen and pistil are the reproductive part of flower. Stamen is the male reproductive part. It produces pollen grains, which contains the male germ cells, that is cell gamete, and the pistil is the female reproductive part. It contains female germ cell, that is female gamete in the ovule. And here in the figure you can see that this is the ovule with the embryo sac, this one is the sepal, and this one is the penducle, and this one This part is the receptor leg. Okay, now see, here it's the pollen grain, this one, this is the stigma, this one is the style, and here is the pollen tube, and this one is the ovary, here it's the embryo sac, this one is the microphyte, and here it's the egg, and this one is the polar nuclei. Okay, this one is the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now we will discuss about pollination and fertilization in flowering plants. The transfer of the pollen grains from anther, the transfer of the pollen grains from anther to stigma, means from anther to stigma, is called pollination. It takes place by wind, water, or insect. If the pollen grain are transferred within the same flower, it is called self-pollination, and if it is transferred from one flower to the other, it is called cross-pollination. After the pollination, the grain is transferred to the stigma. See, the pollination takes place here, then it transfers to the stigma. It produces pollen tubes. It produces a pollen tube which passes through the style and enters to the ovary and ovule. The ovule and the male cell, that is male gamete, fuses in the female cell gametes to form a zygote. Here you can see the zygote, this place. The process is called fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote divides into several times and forms the embryo, which then develops into seeds, and ovary develops into fruits. Okay. Now we will discuss about human reproductive system. Now first we will discuss about female reproductive system. Okay, here you can see this one is the fallopian tubes, this is the uterus, this is urinary bladder, this is vagina. Now this is the interior view, this one is the fallopian tube, this one is the ovary, and here it's the uterus, and this one is the vagina. Now the female reproductive system consists of two pairs of ovaries which produces female reproductive cells called ova or egg, and the hormone, that is estrogen, above the ovary are called tubes, called oviduct or fallopian tubes. This part is the fallopian tube. Okay, now the two oviduct unite into a bag-like structure called uterus. The uterus has opening called vagina. And here you can see the human ovum. This is the egg. Now we will discuss about the male reproductive system. First of all, here you can see it's the bladder. Now these are the glands. Here it's the penis, and here is the sperm duct. This is urethra. These are the testes, and this is the foreskin, and this is the scrotum. Okay. Now the male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes which produces the male reproductive cell called sperm and hormone testosterone. It contains It is contained in a sac-like structure called scrotum. From each testis arises a tube called vas deferens. It joins into the urethra. The urethra is enclosed in a muscular organ called penis. It has an opening called genital pore. The seminal vesicle and prostrate gland produces fluid which helps in the movement of sperm. Now here we can see a human sperm. Okay, this one is the acrosome, this portion. This one is the head, this is the midpiece, and this is the tail. Now, now we will discuss fertilization in human beings. First of all, here in this diagram, you can see during sexual intercourse, the sperm from the male enters into the vagina of female. The sperm reaches the oviduct. One sperm fuses with an egg and forms zygote. Okay, you can see here one sperm fuses with the ovum and forms zygote. Okay, the zygote then gets implanted in the uterus. The zygote then starts dividing to form an embryo. The embryo gets nutrition from mother's blood through placenta. The development of child takes 9 months and then the child is born. Now, here you can see this. This is the stages in early development of the embryo. Okay, this one you can see, this is the uterus. This is first of all, this is here. Okay, this is the ovary, and here it gets, this is the unfertilized egg. Then after fertilization it comes here. Then this is the stage 2. This is 2 cell, and then it gets divided. It forms 4 cell stage. Then it goes here. This is 8 cell stage, and then again in this place mitosis is taking place, and the cell is being this, it's just multiplying the cells. The number of cells is multiplied. Okay, and then finally it gets planted into the uterus here. Okay, this is endothelium, this is the implantation, and this is the ovary we discussed. And then you can see here, this is the yolk sac, this is chloronic villi, this part, and here is the amniotic fluid in the amniotic cavity, and these are the 3 layers. And these are the 3 layers here. Allantosis, this one, then this one is the umbilical cord, this is chorion, this is the amnion, and these layer helps in the formation, helps to protect the body of the baby. And this is the cavity of the uterus, this portion. Now you can see this diagram. This is the fetus in utero. This is the placenta. Here it's the umbilical cord. This one is the uterus. This is the cervix. This is uterine wall. This is the amniotic sac. And here is the fetus. This one is the anus, and this one is the vagina. Now, menstruation. The ovary produces 1 egg every month, and uterus prepares to receive the fertilized egg. Its wall becomes thick and spongy with blood vessels for nourishing the embryo. If fertilization does not take place in the uterus wall, breaks and comes out of the vagina as blood and mucus. This cycle takes place every month and it's called menstruation. Now, prevention of pregnancy, contraception. Pregnancy can be prevented by three methods. Number one, barrier method. Number two, chemical method. Number three, surgical method. Number one, barrier method consists of using condoms, diaphragms, cervical caps, copper T, etc. Chemical method consists of drugs like oral pills, vaginal pills, etc. Surgical method consists of removing or trying a small part of vas deferens in male, that is vasectomy, or fallopian tube in female, that is tubectomy. Now, here we conclude with the reproduction chapter, and we will discuss with a small summary in my next video. Till then, thank you and stay tuned for the next chapter. Thank you.